The next artist I'm going to introduce is a star in our firmament. She's a singer, a songwriter, a composer, an essayist, and in my view, a philosopher. She's won Radio 2's Folk Musician of the Year award 4 times. She writes for films and theatre and animated works, and she's currently working on a 6th album with her brother Stephen and Inga Thompson. Would you please give a great warm welcome to Corrine Polwart.
I've been enjoying this evening and finding it very moving as well. I'm signed up to the Nae Passaran Twitter feed, and so I'm aware the film is happening. The longer film is coming out next year, but I hadn't seen the short film at all, and I thought that was really beautiful. It made me very proud. Proud's maybe the wrong word. I don't know. It made me very glad to be from a place where a factory full of men can do something like that. So I wasn't sure what I was going to sing tonight, but I'm going to sing this because it seems apt to the story of the Rolls-Royce factory and about just acts that might seem particular and you might not be aware of what their consequences are because they seem small in the scheme of worldly things, actually having an impact. And it's a song which is based on an old story, which is from Scotland, but also from Ireland and England and all the way through the north part of Europe and into the edge of Asia and North Africa. There's a story that's the same, and it's a story called The King of Birds. And it's one of my favourite old myths. And the story is that way back in time, all the birds in the world were at war with one another, and there was clatter and conflict and chaos everywhere, and they'd had enough. A little wise council of birds got together and said, that's enough, we've had enough of this, we need to find a way to bring peace to the realm of the birds, and what we need is a new king for the kingdom of birds. And how will we find a new king? Well, we'll have a flying competition. Why not? Because birds can fly, of course. That's their natural skill. There was a few birds that were a bit annoyed about this, of course. The king penguin, no less. Wee bit hacked off. But anyway, word was sent out, advertised widely, the competition for the king of birds, and they all gathered the birds of the world at the one spot, and there was a great kind of flapping and whirring and keening and preening and all the rest of it, and a big gong was sounded, and they took off into the air. And the first of the birds to fall down to earth, quite a lot of them came from East Kilbride. They were stout birds of the moor, the pheasants and the partridges. And then the wee songbirds had a good crack at it. They were quite hardy, so you had the blackbirds and the skylarks kind of hanging in there for a long time, and they fell to earth as well. And sticking it out for the longest time, because they'd come all the way down from Iceland, were the geese. And they flew, and they flew, and they flew, and then they'd had enough, and they came to land as well. And right at the end of it all, looking all around the horizon and down below them, couldn't see any other birds left, and it was the eagle, the greatest of all the birds, was pretty sure. And he declared himself the king of birds. And just as he did, in his left wing feathers, there was a wee fluttering. And catching the wee tiniest breath, up popped a wee wren, 6 inches above the eagle, catching this tiny gust of air. The wee wren came, and the eagle couldn't go any higher. He was too big to catch the wee updraft. And so in the story that's all the way from Ireland and Scotland and England through Europe and into Asia and North Africa, the king of birds is the wren and not the eagle. Sometimes the goldcrest, but anyway, you look at it, a wee tiny, tiny bird. And I think it's a beautiful little story, and an old, old story. I love the idea that a wee tiny creature can have more power and more flexibility and more freedom to move than a great big cumbersome powerful thing. And And I think it's interesting that in Scotland there was a big debate just a couple of years ago about what the national bird should be, and the RSPB were peddling the fact that it should be the golden eagle. I thought that was a disastrous idea, to have a bird of prey that hardly anybody ever sees be an icon for your national identity. So anyway, the story made me think, the wren, made me think at the time about what was happening in London around and elsewhere all around the world with the Occupy movement, and specifically London because the architect of St Paul's Cathedral was Christopher Wren. So I get a wee geekish reference to an old myth into a song about a contemporary political protest. So it's a wee song called The King of Birds in celebration of small acts and small creatures, which we are, but very powerful as well. So it's got a wee chorus, if you fancy a wee sing. The song kind of commemorates the history of St Paul's from the burning of the Great Fire of London through the Blitz and up to modern times. But it's got a wordless chorus, so if you want to be like a wee chorus of birds firing. Can I take the level of my guitar down a wee bit, please, Jenny? At Ludgate Hill, on the cracked and blackened cobbles of the town, the ashes fall to rest as the tiny king of birds he flutters down to build a citadel to lay glory in the dark, and from hell to breathe hope in every heart. Oh, 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 oh. That's the chorus. At Ludgate Hill, through the siren screams the heavens burn again. The city holds its breath as the tiny little king in slumber bed rises from the dust to lay glory in the dark, through the frost to breathe hope in every heart. There are murmurs in the choir, there are whispers in the dawn, that the King of Earth is broken on the altar of his home. There are murmurs in the choir, there are whispers in the dawn, that the King of Earth is broken on the altar of his home. At Ludgate Hill, where the towers of smoke and mirrors bruise the sky, the pilgrims huddle in as the tiny king of birds begins to cry. The people start to sing, to lay glory in the dark, to ring the bell, to breathe hope in I'll do a song with a Glasgow connection. I know Chrissy was saying earlier she doesn't sound like where she comes from. I was born on Great Western Road. I lived in Glasgow for just a wee bit. And then moved to places that have been variously described by Glasgow taxi drivers as clearly Edinburgh, clearly Inverness, somewhere else called Banknock, which isn't that far away. But my mother was born in Glasgow, and her side of the family are from Glasgow. And my great-grandfather was called Bernard Quinn, and he came from Donegal with his brothers and his sister in the early part of the 20th century. And they lived in Partick mostly. Yeah, this song is kind of, it makes me think of him. It's a thing about discovering or hearing a traditional song again at a different point in your life where it has a different meaning. And it's a song that was recorded by one of my favourite singers who was called Tony Cuff. And the words come from an old collection called Ord's Bothy Ballads, but Tony Cuff set it to music. And I heard it again a few years ago, and it meant something different to me than it had 20 years ago when I first heard it, because I'd been doing a lot of thinking about where my family came from. And it's of interest to me what David said about how the whole idea of the earth is something you borrow from your children and don't take from your ancestors. I actually think both are true. And I think actually there's great... a lot can be learned about how to move forward if you know more about what went before you, and learning about your own family and where they come from and how they moved and what were the issues for them, I think can be quite humbling, and can also it makes me anyway think about how things are for other people now. So my grandfather moving from rural Donegal to Glasgow was a big deal over 100 years ago. That would have been a journey on foot and by horse and by boat, and it would have taken a long time, and it would have been a massive culture shock to come from a farming community and land in a big industrial city like Glasgow. And I doubt if there's very many of us in the room whose families haven't got stories of moving that have been as epic as loads of the journeys that we see happening now for other people coming from other places. And it would do as well to remember that it's true of our own lives and our own families. So it's a wee song called Kelvin's Purling Streams with Bernard Quinn and his brothers Joseph and John and sister Kate in mind.
Give ear to what I say.
one more for you. Good luck to all the Bare Facts folks for putting this together. It's a great thing. Aye, and good luck to getting your film finished. Looking forward to seeing it. Looks beautiful. So with the wee notion that David had about that you borrow the world from your children, I think that's true, and it certainly was a transformative thing for me to become a mum. I was quite a late starter, but I wrote this song shortly after my son was born, and I guess it's a little bit. It has that little notion in it. It's called Rivers Run.
Rivers